All right, so this will probably get me in trouble, so we might as well do it. So women are hypergamous. So for maximum sexual arousal, they want men...
Excuse me, Professor Egghead, but could you explain that term for us regular New Jersey denizens who only went 7 semesters?
Yeah.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's going to get a lot of you thinking. The problem with female leadership. Now, this isn't just some political hit job. We are exploring this from a psychological, biological, and leadership perspective. This isn't about attacking women in leadership. It's about understanding why certain female leaders struggle to resonate with both men and women. Shout out to Mr. Anderson for this video topic request. Salute! Let's get into it.
Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we gotta do. Because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we?
So the average age gap between men and women worldwide for maximal attraction is 4 years. The men are older.
Yeah, completely blown past the limit here. Okay.
Women like men of higher status than they are. Okay, so and that's the thing that predicts male sexual success best is his comparative status. Yeah. It's an immense predictor, and it's not the same with regard to women. So what that means, what it appears to mean, is that I'm not making a case for women's female subservience, by the way, but what it does appear to mean that for women to find a man sexually attractive, he has to be of higher status than she is. So what does that imply about their relationship? Does that mean that that's a relationship of equality? I don't think it does.
I mean, yes, you are going to get in trouble for this.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson talks about hypergamy. The idea that women, biologically speaking, tend to seek men who are of higher status. Now, we're not talking about some gold digger stereotype here, but more of an instinctive dynamic. Here's where it gets tricky though. What happens when a woman is in that high status position, like say Kamala Harris, running for the highest office in the country? How does that impact her perception as a leader? Well, biologically, it's a problem for both men and women.
The gender gap, I think, one of the biggest stories here in this Harris lead in our poll, because look at this. Among men, Trump has a sizable lead. He's beating Harris by 12 points among men. Among women, Harris has a much more sizable advantage. Look at this. It's 21 points, 58 to 37 in Harris's favor among women. So you could see how that nets out in her favor, giving her that lead nationally.
This NBC poll shows the clear gender divides in voter preferences, but it's not just about party lines. Studies consistently show that men tend to vote for male leaders more often than female leaders. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Let's dive deeper into a recent Atlas Intel poll. Now, this data comes from key swing states where Harris is behind Trump in several critical regions like Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. These are battleground states that will be pivotal in determining the outcome of the 2024 election. Now, let's take a closer look at Pennsylvania, another key swing state, and one that could be crucial in determining the 2024 election outcome. According to the most recent Atlas Intel poll, Trump is edging out Harris by a slim margin of 50.6% to 48%. It's a tight race, but what's particularly interesting is when you break it down by gender. In Pennsylvania, 48.9% of men support Trump, while 48.3% back Harris, a near deadlock. But among women, the dynamic shifts. Here, 53.1% of women favor Trump, with only 46.9% supporting Harris. This suggests that Harris is struggling with a key demographic that historically turns out in large numbers: female voters. But there's an even more surprising twist when you look at voters who identify as other or don't want to identify. In this group, Harris holds a commanding lead with 81% backing her, while only 16.2% favored Trump. This is a fascinating contrast as it shows Harris's stronger appeal in this more socially progressive demographic, while Trump continues to resonate more broadly with women in this pivotal state. What's really striking is how these numbers reflect a broader challenge for Harris. She's struggling with female voters in a state where the women's vote could decide the outcome. And remember, Pennsylvania is one of the key battlegrounds that helped determine the 2020 election. The fact that Trump is leading here, even by a narrow margin, shows just how much of a challenge Harris faces, especially when leadership is perceived as dominant or more traditionally masculine.
Okay, let's get to business. Let's get to business. All right.
Now let's talk Kamala Harris. She's the vice president, and while she's not polling disastrously, the latest Atlas Intel poll and one of the most accurate pollsters in 2020 shows her facing real challenges. The race is close, but Harris is struggling with key demographics, particularly among female voters and, surprisingly, even the black vote.
Some of the work is going to be through what we do in terms of giving benefits and assistance to state and local governments around transit dollars, and looking holistically at the connection between that and housing, and looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner that includes prioritizing affordable housing for working people.
This issue of perception, the idea of dominance in leadership, is crucial. Her communication style has become a sticking point, often criticized for being unclear or evasive, what some call word salad. Look, we all know politicians love to dodge questions, but when you don't have charisma, that dodging becomes a lot more obvious. You can get away with it if you are, say, Barack Obama or Bill Clinton, because you've got that smooth delivery. But Kamala doesn't have that. In fact, her demeanor comes off too feminine, too soft-spoken, and that's a huge problem in leadership.
Yes, you are going to get in trouble for this because people who are guys work for women. The women, their boss is or they're married to someone who makes more money than them. Are you saying that that's going to fuck up their sex life?
It does. The evidence for that's clear, and it increases the divorce rate by law.
When a woman in power outranks a man, biologically speaking, it can challenge traditional roles, making men feel uneasy or uncertain about their place in the hierarchy. Women, on the other hand, might lose respect for that same man if they feel he's not stepping up. It's that double bind that Kamala faces. Neither men nor women are feeling her leadership.
It's hard to believe that it has been 8 years since I first came to this convention to talk with you about why I thought my husband should be president.
Now, let's compare that to someone like Michelle Obama. She's another high-profile woman, but what's the difference? Why does she come off as more capable in the eyes of the public?
To do something of value, and to do it well, and to do something consequential, and to do something that I care about, and then let that speak for itself. And that would shut up the haters, because I would have a whole portfolio of stuff that defined me because it's what I did, not what you called me. So the best revenge is success and good work. You don't have to say anything to the haters. You don't have to acknowledge them at all. You just wake up every morning and be the best you can be, and that tends to shut them up.
Notice something? Michelle comes off as masculine in a way. Her tone, her body language, it's direct, it's assertive. There's a reason people have floated her name for president, even though she's not even running. Women feel like she's someone who can lead them. It's that hypergamy thing again. Subconsciously, we look for strength in leadership. And let's be real, Michelle Obama radiates that strength in a way Kamala Harris just doesn't. Let's break this down further with Oprah Winfrey. Both Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama have sat down with Oprah, but the energy in those interviews completely different.
to make decisions about your own body, freedom to be safe from gun violence, freedom to have access to the ballot box, freedom to be who you are and just be, to love who you love openly and with pride, freedom to just be. And that's who we are. We believe in all that.
Now look at Kamala here. She's answering, but it feels like she's trying to win the room over by being likable rather than decisive. This is a problem. Leadership isn't about likability. It's about commanding respect. And what we're seeing is that she's leaning on her femininity, which, when it comes to leadership, doesn't always translate into authority.
And I take the words that I say to children very seriously. You know, when I'm with a young person, I want them to hear me. I want them to hear me see them. It's important for them to know that this person who's so famous and has this platform thinks that they are beautiful and smart and kind and good.
Yeah, it's what I was saying earlier.
Now look at Michelle. Notice the difference? She speaks with authority, conviction. There's no uncertainty in her tone, whether you like it or not. And this is where the whole thing ties into hypergamy and leadership psychology. Michelle Obama doesn't come across as too feminine in the leadership sense. Her presence is dominant, something that both men and women naturally respond to. Now, there's actually data behind all of this. Studies show that women in leadership are judged differently than men. Women who are too assertive are seen as cold or unlikable, while women who are too soft are seen as weak. This is known as the double bind, and it's a nightmare for female leaders. Female leaders who display warmth and nurturing behavior are often perceived as less competent, while those who display assertiveness are seen as unlikable. That's why women like Kamala Harris struggle. Her communication is too soft, too non-committal. Compare that to Michelle, and you see why voters subconsciously see one as more leader-like than the other. It's that balance of masculinity and femininity. Too far in either direction and you lose people. Now let's tie this all back to what Jordan Peterson said about hypergamy and how status differences between men and women can lead to tension in relationships and by extension in leadership dynamics. When a woman holds a higher status position than a man, it's not that men feel threatened exactly, it's that the traditional male-female dynamic becomes unbalanced. This imbalance can cause friction, as men may feel devalued and women might subconsciously lose respect for men who are not on their quote-unquote level or higher. But it goes deeper than that. Women might also feel disconnected from female leaders if they don't embody the kind of strength they subconsciously expect in a leader. It's not just about competence, it's about presence, the way leaders carry themselves. If a female leader is perceived as too feminine or lacking a certain commanding presence, both men and women may struggle to fully trust or follow them.
There's actual evidence for that? What is the evidence?
Well, one of the predictors of domestic violence is disproportionate earnings of the wife in comparison to the husband.
You're saying that when the woman makes more money, the guy loses it and clocks her?
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
And we have evidence?
Or maybe she provokes him because she's contemptuous.
Oh, Lord.
Well, either of those are going to get us in trouble.
It's worse than I thought. I'm so glad I never got married.
Let's bring this back to Kamala Harris. The real problem she's facing isn't just political. It's biological, psychological, and social. She's caught in that gender double bind. She's too feminine to be seen as a dominant leader, but if she tries to be more assertive, she risks coming across as inauthentic or unlikable.
Economy, small business, black business. We actually just started our business in January, so we've grown from a show to a whole entire company. What is your economic plan moving forward for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling for groceries and rent and homeowners?
So look, I grew up. So my sister and I were raised by our mother. We lived for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center. That child care center was actually owned by a woman who lived 2 doors down from us, Mrs. Shelton, who was by all of our accounts and feelings, our second mother. She helped raise us. And so she was a small business owner. So I'll start with the small business and congratulations on what you guys have done. I, from a child, knew who our small business owners are, right? I mean, you're business leaders, but you're also civic leaders. You take seriously your voice and how you can mentor, how you can grow, right? Communities and the sense of communities.
Harris's approval ratings have consistently dropped, particularly among male voters, which could be linked to how she communicates her leadership. Now combine this with her lack of charisma and public speaking issues, and you've got a serious uphill battle. It's not just about what she's saying, it's how she's saying it. So where does this leave us? Female leadership is possible, but it's harder. Kamala Harris is struggling because she doesn't strike the balance between strength and warmth. Michelle Obama, on the other hand, gets it right. She's commanding, yet relatable. This is the challenge every female leader faces, and it's a direct reflection of the dynamics Jordan Peterson talks about. At the end of the day, men and women are wired to respond to certain leadership traits. It's not fair, but it's real. And until we fully understand these dynamics, we're going to keep seeing this gap in how female leaders are received. This is why we're talking about it, because if we don't see the problem, we can't fix it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.